Good evening, everybody. Thank you to all here in the room who've made it through the snowy and wintry conditions, and thank you to everyone who's zoomed in for the occasion too. So tonight we have a battle with the Isle of Man Photographic Society. So they're not actually with us on Zoom at the moment, but when they do get round to seeing this, I'd like to say a special welcome, or falcht ort. So falcht ort to all of you, our friends in the Isle of Man. No, I'm saying welcome in Manx. Yeah. So it's our great pleasure to host this annual battle between us once again. I would also like to welcome our judge for this evening, the esteemed Gordon Jenkins. Esteemed APAGB. Is there any others? APAGB? No. That's on APAGB. That's enough. That's more than enough. So before we get underway and I hand over to Gordon, I'm just going to remind everybody that if we need to exit the room, the safest way is down the stairs. If we can't get down the stairs, then there is an external staircase at the end of the corridor, past the loos, and that's where the loos are too. We will be stopping halfway through. Is that okay, Gordon?
Yes, it's fine with me.
For a brew. So I will hand over to Gordon. Gordon's a bit of a legend.
Yeah.
He has served as president of his own club, Chorley Photographic Society. He has served as president of the LNCPU twice. And he is also served as, I've got to turn the page now. Sorry. Also served as president of the PAGB. So we could not be in better hands this evening. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Gordon. And if I could just remind everybody that we are in fact recording this evening. So if the microphone will pick up any extraneous conversations and comments, so if we can all keep them to a minimum. Thank you.
Sounds interesting. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. It is a bit cold, I know. That's why I'm keeping my coat on. Good evening, the Isle of Man. Hey, what an interesting competition. Yeah, very excited. So I've given every image 20 points. Is that all right? Yeah, seriously, there are some serious good work that you're going to see tonight, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to look at them. So thank you very much indeed. Do you want a quick run through, Michael?
I think that's probably best. Let's hit that button there. A bit of brightness and hit that button. Yay! It worked.
Thank you. Excellent. Right, Mike, go back to the beginning.
I will, if it'll let me. Oh, I'm going too far now. Right, there we go. Dead leaf mantis.
A very, very strong image. You've got the strong diagonal, and I think the plant is on the branch is on. Actually works with the mantis itself. I did think the background was a little bit on the heavy side, a little bit on the dark side. It does go from light here to dark, but I think if that was a little bit lighter, I think it would make this even stand out more. Beautiful lighting on here. It's been handled extremely well. It's as we would expect for this sort of stuff. It is pin sharp, and it would do well in most competitions. And I'm going to ask Michael to hold that one back, if I may.
Okay. We'll hold that mantis.
Yeah, that mantis.
The bookkeeper.
Never seen this man before in my life. I do have a slight problem, Mr. Lawrence. I think personally, had you been looking down and connected with the book, you are connected with the photographer, so I can actually see, you know, that there's a relationship there. But I think had you been looking down, I think that might have worked even slightly stronger. And I'm a little bit worried about this dark book, and I think, and maybe that it's a shame it's jet black, because once you see that, your eye tends to go there. I think the photographers handled the lighting more than extremely well, because it's beautiful detail, beautifully sharp. And guess what? I'm going to hold that one back too.
Okay. I want to hold that young gentleman.
Yeah.
The night prowler.
The night prowler. On my screen when I was looking at this, it was a little dark, and I was going to suggest to the photographer in the processing whether they could just brighten it up a little bit or lighten it, and during the projection we see that it is lighter. I think again that's a very strong image. It tells a bit of a story. I think you could have made him a little bit more sinister. And although I said sort of initially lighten it up, and that was talking really about the face, I think I'd just tone that down just a fraction, because it's the feeling in his face, feeling in his eyes. I do wonder, sort of, you've got strong light coming from here. Does that actually fit in with the rest of the light that we actually see in the scene? That's a question mark, and I gave this one 17 marks.
17. Eyes wide shut.
Do you know, it makes me wonder where the photographer was when they took this particular shot. Was he in the water along with the surfer? It's caught all the action. I love the fact that we've got the trail coming in and all the spray going out there. The guy is very sharp indeed. I think if I was him, I'd have my eyes sort of wide shut too, because they're going at quite a speed, and I think you've captured that in a way. And I like the fact that he's moving across the picture, moving in the diagonal. That works extremely well too. So I gave that one 16 marks.
16. Intensity.
And it is. This is a very, very strong image. You've plenty of action here, but look at this guy's eyes. It is intense. It's very, very powerful. I love the background. Love the fact that it's just beautifully out of focus, and yet there's very little distraction. Great lighting, and it's got that triangular shape. So compositionally, it's very good. And we're going to hold that one back.
Hold that one. Oh, where's that red thing come from?
Yeah.
I apologize for that. The Winky and the Aurora.
I did wonder, sort of, about the Winky.
Well, it's because it flashes. Honest.
Really? Okay, I'll take your word for that.
We all know about flashing winkies, don't we?
Well, I don't know. So that's what you get with an Oldham. Anyway, I did wonder about the color of this aura here. Maybe, you know, we have to accept these things. That's right. But I also think you could make this a lot stronger. It's not quite in the middle, and yet it's not on the third. And I know we shouldn't follow rules and all that sort of, the rules are there to be broken and all that good stuff. But I tell you what, if you gave that a bit of a crop, that would make an awful, that make a stronger picture. You've got two choices. You can either put that right on the third, so make that, so that would work, or you could actually just use and make that into a portrait. And I think both those formats would be slightly stronger than you showing that tonight. And I gave the Winky 16.
16.
Yeah.
Jellyfish.
I like this. No, it's photography that I've never done. I see an awful lot of underwater photography. See a lot of photography of jellyfish. I think the photographer here has caught this extremely well. I mean to say, even from a composition point of view, it actually works, doesn't it? You know, it's sort of, you again got this triangular shape, beautiful detail in here, and you got the feeling of this sort of, it's not a blue sea, it's a darkest water, and that's absolutely fine. Beautifully sharp round here. It gives you a lot of information, and I'm not holding that one back, but I'm giving it 18 marks.
18. Shadows on the steps.
Very difficult, and you all know, to project monochrome. It generally doesn't project very well, but on my computer screen and on this projection, that's absolutely fine. It's got a good tonal range. That's what we're looking. That's what we're looking for. Is, you know, it's got a little highlight. Then we got to goes right down through all the tones down, and we got a darker tone here. And I like the shape too, because again, that's the shadow, and you can follow it through compositionally. I think that's fine. Don't think it's quite as strong as some of the other images that we're seeing tonight, but nevertheless, it is a good image. And I do hate people who actually say, well, it needs this element or that element. But maybe, and this is only a maybe if I was a person, it would give a sense of scale. But that's the only reason I would suggest that. But I'm more than willing to accept as it is, as we see it now, because compositionally, I think that's very sound indeed. And I gave that one 17 marks.
17. Naomi on base.
Yeah, I think Naomi herself, the face, it's been well rendered. You've caught that well. I do think with a little bit more processing, you could have just darkened this down slightly. But the main problem here, and it's outside your control, we know what the lighting is. We know, and it does give a bit of atmosphere. And these bright bits here, very little that you can do about that. It is stage lighting, and that has captured the scene. Even if you didn't get rid of that, I think that one's important, but I'd just like to see this one, if it could have been just toned down, just that little, because it actually drags your eye down. Had it been away somewhere else on the stage, I don't think it would matter quite as much. Anyway, that looks far better on here than it did on my screen. So I'm going to give that 16 marks.
16. St. Anne's versus Edinburgh.
Right, now you can't help comparing two similar images. So I compared this one with an image that we saw before, Intensity. And although I think this is extremely good, and I think we're to blame in a lot of the cases, i.e. we tell people when we're judging or critiquing pictures that you should move in closer. The photographer has actually done that. But then I really think that during the processing, you could have got a little bit more detail out the arm. There's a lot of things I think you could have done. It's a little bit on the, we would use old-fashioned term. It's a little bit grainy or a little bit noisy, and I think the contrast is a bit high. And I think you could have just lowered that a little bit and put a vignette round here so that the arm out here, you know, would be darker. So we would really more concentrate on the face inside. But having said that, good power to your elbow for moving in close. But then I compared that against intensity one, and I thought the one that we just seen earlier was a little bit better. What was this called, Michael? I gave this 17. Yeah, it's all right.
17. Iced diamond.
We see we see a lot of these in competition, and yes, they are very dramatic. I'm not sure. I would have liked to see I'd have liked to see sort of that cropped even a little bit tighter in there, because I think that would have made it even a stronger image. You've captured the color extremely well. I like the blackness of the beach, the sea, and that's rolling in. I think I would have darkened the sky just a tad, but I think the main thing I would have just moved a little bit further. I can see why you've taken it like this, because I think you've handled this water sort of very well. It gives that feeling of movement too. So yeah, torn between this one, and again, I gave that one 17.
17. Waiting to feed in the rain.
Waiting to feed in the rain. Yeah. Certainly doing what it says. I'm a little bit concerned about the color, whether it's over vibrant, whether it's over strong, because these yellow feet really look very, very yellow. And I think you could have just brought even the yellow down just a fraction. But the main problem that I had is the fact that we are losing a little bit of the tail. Whether or not you could draw back a little bit further, maybe you had the lens on, and this was the shortest that you could get to it. So unfortunately, you've actually missed that. But if you look back, and I certainly looked on my computer, and the coloration was exactly the same, but I did pull it down a little bit, and you could just see that these feet just a little bit too yellow. The background's fine. I was a little concerned about that little highlight there, but overall that's carping. I think it was the color of the feet and the fact that we lost the tail, and gave that one 16.
16.
Yeah.
Angel split.
Dear oh dear. That would bring a tear to one's eye, wouldn't it? I see a lot of sports shots, see a lot of photography. The first time I've ever seen a shot like this. I think the simplicity of it works extremely well. The colors absolutely fine. The sharpness. How on earth do you keep glasses on when you're doing things like that? God only knows, but there they are.
Nails, I think.
Nails, yeah. I was looking on my computer, and you can just see it. Yeah, there are two hands there. There's the other one there, but that's very, very symmetrical. Yeah, in some. I'm gonna hang on to that one.
Okay, hold that one.
Mm.
Dark powers.
Dark powers, yeah. Beautiful light. And I do like the background where the head actually fits into the background. That works extremely well. Beautifully sharp. You know, the way you process it with the skin, I think that's okay. I just think, and this is going to be a thing that there's a couple of shots like this. I just think the eyes are just fraction too bright. I know you want the judge and the person who's critiquing the image to actually look at the eyes. I just think that's a little bit bright. Nevertheless, it's a super image. It's been absolutely well done, and you do get the feeling of sort of the dark powers and shock horror. Yes, you do get all that feeling, and you've handled the neck fine. I mean, so there's no highlights there. I just think if you brought the eyes down just a fraction, and that would have balanced the picture up a little bit more. But the background, there's been a lot of thought gone into that, so we're holding on to that one.
Hold that one. City smog, Cuba.
Yes. Taken into the light. Not sure if that's given us a feeling of city smog. And it really hasn't given us that much of a feeling of Cuba, really. So that hasn't worked as such. The main characters here is interesting. People walking down the street and vehicles going up there with an exhaust that's pumping out loads and loads of smoke for the smog and all the rest of it. And then we just disappear and we start looking around the picture to settle on something. But we do come back to this person. But from the atmosphere and the atmospherics, that quite hasn't worked for me. And I think there's an awful lot in the processing that you could do, and whether or not you even wanted to crop it even a bit down here, because that begins to take the eye out of the picture that way. And what you want to do is concentrate the viewer on this scene here with this smog and this smoke. No, that hasn't worked for me, and I've given that one 14 marks.
14. Ice floor, Yokosalan.
Yeah, I thought, and I see it now here. Really, I think the image is a little flat. I think in the processing you could have actually brought this out a little bit more, given that a little bit more of a 3D feel about it. I would also just make absolutely certain that you got the horizon sort of right. It does tend to fall off a little bit there, and again, we're talking about put a vignette on it. I would do that because I think this brighter bit here, very, very slightly, I think you've made that slightly darker, because that's the subject, that's what you want us to concentrate on. And you've rendered this well. I mean to say there's plenty of texture in here. The exposure is absolutely fine. And I think the composition is probably better than the last one we saw. But I think to bring the viewer in, I think we would have just put a small vignette round there, and I think that would do that. And what number was that? That's 16, that one, Michael.
That is number 16, yep.
Yep.
And 16 from 16.
16.
16.
It is.
City skyline.
An interesting image. First of all, I don't know about your good selves, but I always think to myself, where was the photographer to take this? Was he or she? And there's an awful lot going on. There's an awful lot going on that you actually look around the picture, and you begin and you look and you look and you look, an awful lot of highlights. But you do come back to the Ferris wheel. I think that's the London Eye. But then that gets diluted because you're looking across here, look at all these highlights. And I don't think the bright moon is helped too much there. The other thing that is a slight problem here is the noise in the sky. So I think you could go back, and I think you could actually tone these down a little bit so that the viewer really moves across the picture and then can settle there. But it's the Christmas tree lights, if you like, sort of the noise that we actually see in the background is the bigger issue. But it's when you're up there taking this picture, you want to take the whole scene. So what do you do? But I think it's the processing. I think there's a lot you can do, because you even got the shadow areas here where you could bring out a little bit more detail. But tone down these. I know it's bright, but that's what you have. That's what you can do to actually make a good picture and scene. But then you actually need to sort of have a look at the noise. You probably got an ISO very, very high to get that. And where we sit, your skyline, 15 marks.
15. Misty evening.
I like this. I get the feeling that this is a misty evening. You've got a single person walking along the path, and then you start looking around the picture and you think, how can we improve that? I think you can improve it by actually getting rid of that. I like the idea that you've got a little light in the house there. I think that works extremely well. And you could get rid of that too, and maybe just tone down just a bit, just a little bit, just tone down this lamp here, because you're walking, you've got enough light there. I think if you just tone that down, then you concentrate a little bit more on the person. I don't mind the person being in the middle. I really don't, because that gives you the feeling that you're in the park and you're on your own. But I just think that you could just do something about that, and I think that would do extremely well. And I got 17.
17.
Yeah.
Nicholas Huff Hurdles.
I must admit, I have seen this several times. I've actually judged it several times, and it still holds good. A beautiful background, caught the moment and the face and the determination. I don't know whether this particular athlete has actually seen this picture. It'd be a shame if he hasn't, because I said to somebody some time ago when just after I saw it in Nottingham, that would make a great picture for the athletic club, to make a big one, to make a 20-foot image of it and stick it in the club itself, because that's what athletics is all about, the determination. It tells a story. So we're going to hold that one back.
All that one.
Mhm.
Love is in the air.
Is it
Honest.
love?
It
LOV?
is. It should be.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Someone can't smell.
I know. It just needs, it's a little bit muddy. And when you get it on your computer screen, it doesn't show up quite as bad on here, because it is projected and it looks that little bit brighter. And I have got a calibrated screen, but it did look a little bit muddy. And I think if you brighten it up, that would look a lot better. I think you could just put a bit more sharpening in here. That would have worked well. I'm not too happy about this. Tend to be over this side, and I think what you needed to do is to make it a square. And I think if you made it a square, that would work extremely well. But you would need to just add a little bit of brightness. You could brighten this up a little bit, sharpen that. There is detail in here, so you can bring a little bit more detail out the feathers there. The background's fine. And yeah, love is in the air. That's fine. But tonight I gave that one 16.
16.
Yeah.
Mating below flies.
Yeah, even flies do it. I can remember being in a hide with a chap from Wigan 10, Colin Smith, and he said, "Me, I didn't know you were interested in nature, Gordon." I said, "I'm not really, Colin." He said, "I'll tell you one thing," he says, "it's all about sex and violence." And he's absolutely right. Beautiful image, absolutely pin sharp. The colors are absolutely fine. And I will be honest with you. I did think that this was a little bit, certainly on my computer, that was quite dark there, but all the colors were the same as we see there. But as it's been projected, that's absolutely fine, and that's not a bad balance. And I do like the background, that works well. And the fact that we got a sort of an arc, it's compositionally good too. Yeah. Just wonder what they're thinking. Anyway, we're going to hold it back.
Yep. Hold that one.
Yeah.
Orchid mantis.
Yeah. Again, you can't help comparing it against the very first image that we saw tonight. I thought the first image was a little bit stronger, simply because I think the plant that is on may be a little bit a little bit overbearing to the mantis itself in this particular instance. And I'm just wondering whether there you could just shaded that in a little, just a fraction more. Again, we did lose a little bit on my computer, that going there, but there's detail there now, so we can see that. I just think that don't know whether you wanted to tone that down just a little, because this is what we're more interested. You know, you're vying between the two. I think that's the issue. And I gave that one 17 marks.
17. Anniversary double header.
Right. Normally one would say that the photographer took this a little bit too late, but I'm going to say to the photographer, you want to go and blame these two train drivers, because as they come around the corner, they were speeding up. So by the time you got to the camera, you took it and it was there. What you really should have done and taken it when it was there, then this wouldn't have been interfered with a tree, and you would have seen a little bit more sort of it coming around the bend. Having said that, it's sharp. I like the angle that you've taken it. You take the 3/4 view, so we've got the front of the engine, and the fact that you've got the exhaust going down and back sort of around the carriages. Train buffs will know that that's what you really want to see. And I think the driver and the fireman looking out here, yeah, they're not interfering with the picture. They're not looking at the photographer. They're looking to see where they're going. But I think had you taken it where the front of the engine was here, you could have used the tree sort of as a stop, if you like, from a picture point of view. I think that would have worked better. Like the colors, the exposure is right, the sharpness is right, et cetera, all that good stuff that we come to expect. But I've given that one, just trying to think where we are, 16.
16. I missed that, sorry. There goes the sun.
There goes the sun. Yeah, Brighton. I like the idea of the two deck chairs with no one in it. I think that in your mind that adds or asks a lot of questions. I did think initially that would have been better if there hadn't been people on the beach here, just the two deck chairs and the old pier. And then I think what would have worked, I think the umbrella is a distraction that takes you away from the other bit. I think if you got rid of the umbrella, you cloned out these people here, just leave these two people sitting on the beach, and that will tell the story that these are their deck chairs. They've gone from there, they've gone down the beach, they're just looking across to the pier, they're doing a little bit of sunbathing. You could even crop it a little bit tighter. I think that would work, or you could even make it into a portrait mode too. That both. But at this moment, as I see it, your eye starts going around and out of the picture from a composition point of view. The subject matter, the viewpoint, absolutely fine. You've handled the sky well, and you've handled the exposure. And what was it called?
She's called There Goes the Sun.
Yeah. I think had you done those things as I would suggest, that we got a slightly higher mark, but I'm going to give that one 17 this evening, and we come to number 25.
17.
17, yeah.
Is it playtime yet?
Well, it will be in a minute, and I hope we're going to have the kettle on, because this is number 25. And do you want a break here? That's halfway through. So
We can go a little bit further, because you'll have the finishing off at the end, won't you?
will I? Okay. Yeah. Oh. Oh. You know, yeah, the batteries come back now. Is it playtime yet? Right. I'm just looking to see what I scored, because I did take a lot of time looking at these. This again, being projected, does look a lot better than it did on my screen. Whether it's bigger or not, I'm not sure. I think and I really think there's an awful lot going on outside. Is it playtime? Because the thing is, between these two, it's 11:20, and the bear there is thinking the sort of he wants to go and play. He's making up the story. He's giving the narrative to the thing, and I think again a closer crop without the ivy, the foliage here, you could use that. You could trim it down there, make it a lot tighter, and the fact that you're not looking through the window and you're looking at sheds or whatever outside, which actually dilutes you from looking at what the photographer has actually seen, because the photographer's seen that, and I think a tighter crop would have done that well. There's a good tone of range here now. It's projected. We have a jet black there, and it comes through, and there's nothing really sort of too burnt out there, and too many highlights. I might have just shaded that down, but that's carpenter. But certainly, I would have given it a far stronger crop than we actually see, and I gave that one, as we see it there, I gave that 15 marks.
15. We'll do a couple more, and then we'll have a brew.
Okay.
You're getting ready for a brew now, are you?
Oh yeah, you know.
Silly question. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shampoo and set.
Yeah. There's several things about this. I don't know whether you think it would have been nice. Yeah, we know it's in a ladies' hairdresser salon. Whether we had some ladies sitting here with curlers in or whatever. But you're looking, but it appears you've taken it through a window because you've got the reflections. The highlights up here haven't been handled that well, to be quite honest. There's a lot going. I'll give the photographer the due that you've actually seen an image which you could actually go back and you could make something of it with a different processing, getting the exposure more accurate than we see now. And I don't mind seeing the reflection from a window, because some of these images that we see now, that we see in a lot of competitions, actually work. If there's people sitting in the chairs having their hair done, yeah, just be brave enough and just go and take the picture, because they're not going to come running out after you.
Not when you got the head stuck
No,
in one of
exactly,
those.
exactly. But I tell you, there's nothing wrong in actually going in and saying to them, "May I take your picture?" You know, just go and do it. Be bold. I've seen people walk into weddings when they haven't been invited and taking pictures, and walk into people's offices when we were in Georgia, didn't they? Didn't they? They just walked into people's office. No, not you. and just asked to take it. Anyway, coming back to this, I think you've seen something, so I'll give you a credit for that. But I think your processing has actually let you down here. But it could be worth having another do. But you need to get rid of these big highlights, and yeah, it is very noisy. So you were struggling for exposure, and I gave that 14 marks.
14. Full force.
This wouldn't have been anything without the inclusion of the person down here. And the fact that it's bang in the middle, I think that's fine. The fact that it's got a red coat on is a big tick, isn't it? I suppose. Had it been black, it wouldn't have worked half as well. Not so sure what all this is about here, and maybe it would have been better had this been a little bit tighter. I think you could have got a little bit more from the highlights here. You could just tone that down slightly, like the reflections. I think that works well, and that's very, very important. The person is important too, and that I gave. That looks a lot stronger on there than I. So I'm going to give that one 17.
17.
Mm-hmm.
Girl with Finch.
Girl with Finch. It's just a shame that the young lady's not looking at the finch, to be honest. And I think that would have worked an awful lot better. Beautifully taken, beautifully exposed, very, very sharp. Love the idea. It's just a pity that her eyes are not just looking down there. And I think that's in my opinion. I think that will work. The background's absolutely fine. There's a little bit that you could just do there with it looks like a slight halo there, but yeah. But apart from all, it's an absolutely tight picture. I'm not going to hold that one back. I'm going to give that one 17. And
17.
and we'll have one more.
Yep. Traveling journeyman drunk at the TT. That's the one.
Yeah, the TT and the Island Man. Yeah, I wonder how many people they get like this dressed up. I think this is a bit of a fun photo. I'm not sure these two guys would enjoy it if you showed it to them. The biggest problem that I have, if you look, this guy's not as sharp as that, and I think what the photographer should have done, he should have a greater depth of field, and then I think that would work well. He's got a shallow depth of field because this is very, very soft, and yet this is sharp. Or you moved in close and you just take a photograph of him, but two of them together is fine, and I think that worked particularly well. You could do an awful lot to this. I mean, to say you could get away with it, but you need to sort of darken that down, and you just need to reprocess it. And unfortunately, that these two guys, I gave 15 marks to.
15.
Yeah.
Right.
Into
I think it's time for a good comfort break.
it is.
A good one.
Thank you, Gordon.
That's all right.
That's brilliant so far. Can we have a break of 15 minutes or so? 15
Yeah.
minutes suit everybody? Jolly good.
We're on to
There we are. That's what we're on. Clock watchers.
yeah. I ain't got a clue where this is. I'm always very interested because it's an interesting image. I don't think it's a winner tonight, but certainly when you're there and you see this and the idea, the clock watchers is absolutely fine. I am very worried about this big white area at the top here. That adds absolutely nothing to the picture. Maybe it should be framed where you just got these three people looking out across the scene, looking out to the Ferris wheel. It's interesting to note the coloration around here, and yet we tend to lose a little bit. It's the sky, really. It's the lightness. The idea of it, of the silhouette's fine. But again, I personally feel that if you want to take a photograph of the three people, you should stand further back and you should get it all in. But maybe then just drop it along the top there, because you haven't got the whole clock in anyway. So what's point? Didn't quite work for me, and I gave that one 14.
14.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, is that better? Oh, yeah. Bella. Yeah. Love everything about this particular image. The coloration, the colorway, absolutely fine. It fits in with the background. The eyes, again, are very, very bright, but there again, the photographer wants us to actually look at the young lady eye on. You know, there's no real sort of highlights distracting, other than I think might have just toned down the necklace just a fraction, so we can concentrate even a little bit more on it. But I'm not going to hold it back, but I'm going to give this one 18 marks. And you can see the way the hair's been handled in the background, and there's enough distance between there and the background to give that 3D sort of feeling. Brilliantly composed. I suppose just a little bit of a carp, maybe just cropped it down there, so that was at the edge. But anyway, that's a little bit of carping, but beautiful colorway, beautiful image.
18.
18.
Grace.
Yeah, this certainly, we got a little bit of movement from the projector here, as you can see sort of around there, but when you see it on a screen, and certainly on my screen, that had something very soft about it, which actually works. and I like that, like the fact, I like the props that you used. The one thing that maybe is a little bit distraction, this here is very, very sharp compared to the rest of the dress here. And whether you played around with that a little bit in Photoshop and missed that out, I'm not sure. But the beautiful face, I think that works. And sort of without the movement that we're seeing from the projector, that looked very charming indeed. I did think that would make a very nice print if anybody's sort of into printing, and I want you to hold that back, Michael.
Hold that one. Juggler.
I smiled at this. I did smile at this because I'm thinking, God, down here, when we got a photograph down here to see all the broken bolts. And then how is he going to catch them? Are they going to smash in his hand or whatever? You know, it tells a lot of stories, but it's fun. I think you could have given them a little bit, maybe a little bit more movement when you were making the image, but the eyes are working, and that's fine. And we're going to hold the juggler back too.
Okay, hold the juggler.
Yeah.
Snow day, play day.
This looks far better on your projection than it did on my screen, funny enough. The eyes look brighter. I would have just given maybe a little bit more space this side, but apart from that, that's absolutely fine. You get the sense of fun. And there's not a lot more I'd actually do to this, but you need to just look at the face, look at the bright eyes and the joy that this dog is seen to be having, and you've rendered the snow fairly well indeed. And I gave that one 18.
18. A nod to the sky.
Yeah, those of you who've been up to Falkirk and taken a photograph of the Kelpies will know it's not the easiest thing to do. Do you take the whole of the Kelpies and you've got all the people gathering around the bottom and there's lots of other things going on, or do you point your camera up and you just take a very, very strong image of this? It may be, and photography is all about light and all about the day. Yeah, you've got a good plain sky, so to speak, although there's a little bit of detail, the cloud there. But would it work better in monochrome? The questions I asked. Would it work better had it been a stormy day, which I think it may be? But anyway, you turned up there on this particular Tuesday or Thursday, and the sky is like this, so you take the picture. And it's a record shot. One of the pictures I've seen just recently would have been this same sort of image, but taken at night, because they do change color, which was quite interesting. There's not much more I'm going to say about that, and I'm going to give that one 16 marks.
16. Nest gathering.
Well, that's absolutely right. It's on a good diagonal. I think I would spend a little time just taking a little bit of the highlights out of here, and maybe there's a little bit of highlight there, but that's carping a little bit like the background. It's a shame it's got all this nesting material. It is hiding up a little bit of the face, but that's how it is. And I think you're very fortunate to take it on a decent perch, because quite often, you know, sort of where these birds settle there, it's not very photogenic, but this is, and that works well. Not going to hold it back. Going to give that one 18 too.
18. Broad-bodied chaser laying eggs.
Well, I'll be honest with you. This went up and down where I actually placed it, because I was a little bit worried about the light going through here. But again, on the projection, I think that's toned it down. Also, certainly on my computer, and it is calibrated. It worries me a little bit. This was quite a highlight. That was a highlight, and maybe I would have just toned that down. These are not as bright as they were on my computer, and in fact, there's an awful lot going on. I love the movement here. That works extremely well. A very unusual image. And I haven't written it down here, but seeing it on the screen, I'm going to hold that one back. If I may.
Hold that one. Scarlet 289 flying.
Yeah, that works. Somebody spent awful lot of time taking these sorts of shots, got it absolutely right, got the moment right. Sport is a bit like photography. It's getting that actual moment, and the photographers absolutely caught it. We can see the strain in the face. There's a not lot, I would say, to the photographer that it needs to alter. The background is sufficiently sort of effort. It does give that 3D. The lighting's good. What else is there, Shepard? And you've got this base too, which actually adds to the picture itself. 18 marks.
18. Sam Talbot extension.
Yeah, funny enough that these two came up together, and you can't help comparing them because it is a competition. And I thought the action on this was from a composition point of view was slightly better than one we saw before. Although both of them are very good photography. It's a shot that we don't normally see because we don't normally see a bar or some interference there. But that's very interesting that you've got the pole vault. You can see the expression on the face and the muscles and the strain and the rest of it. I'm going to hold that one back, if I may.
Hold that one. Black Sand Beach.
Yeah. I wasn't so sure about the foreground here. I know you've got the reflection, and I'm not sure whether that actually adds too much to this particular image, because what actually happens as a viewer, you go from there to there, there to there. So you're ping ponging between the two. And the fact that this is very light here actually drags the eye down to this part of the image. I respectfully suggest that it would be stronger if you made it into a letterbox format and forego the reflection and just use that, because I think there's enough strength in the mountain here, in the sky, to make that a good and a worthy image. So it needs a good crop, and as it stands, I'm giving that 16.
16. Winning jump.
This looks a lot stronger than it did on my computer. The background, I think, needs to be a little bit more toned down or a little bit more out of focus, because you start noticing the fencing rather than just concentrating on the guy itself. And I'm just wondering whether or not the image would have been just as he was just coming into land. But nevertheless, it's beautifully sharp. You can see the action. You get exactly what is happening. He's taken off and he's about to land. Maybe just come back a little bit more, so there's a little bit more space there. Would have made that work. That got 17.
17. Flower power.
I'm just waiting for some. This amused me. It really did amuse me. And and I think to see that in a competition on a cold night, it just makes you want to smile, and it makes you want to go and sort of enjoy your photography. You know, sort of yeah. What's he eating there? Nice bit of chocolate. That's it. It's a bit of fun, mate, isn't it? I love it. We're going to hold that one back, you know.
Hold the mouse.
Hold the mouse.
Blue-tailed damselfly.
Yeah, again, as I said about another image earlier on, you got to be careful that the plant is on doesn't actually take over. It's beautifully sharp. That actually works. Maybe it just needs a little bit more space. I don't know, but I think we are vying between the two here. That got 17.
17. Great crested grebe weed dance.
Yeah. Lovely birds, grebes. They work well. The photographer here has caught an awful lot that's going on. I like the fact that we still got the droplets of water, and you can see the relationship sort of between the two. Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. And there's detail in here. Beautiful color. That worked. there's nothing else around to distract you from the image itself. 18 marks.
18. Just leaving.
Yeah, I like the idea, and I think the fact that it's a very simple, in inverted commas, image that has its own beauty. Like the color, that works extremely well. It would have been interesting had, I know he's pushing a pram, it'd been interesting had he had his arm out going that way, because though you would have said, which way are they going? I know they're just leaving. And I think it's important to have the pram. It is the family just leaving an airport or wherever. You make up your own story about that. I'm just wondering whether it would have been stronger had we not had that little bit there. We could have finished the image sort of on that, just on that pillar there. I think that would have worked well. I don't mind these because that's all part and parcel of the thing. It's a clean image. It works well, and I gave that 17 marks.
17. The dangling damsel.
Dangling damsel. Yeah. The thing I like about this again is its simplicity. Maybe the grey background, is something that we don't probably normally expect. I do like that going across there. That adds an awful lot of strength to the image, and the hanging damsel coming down here is fine. It's beautifully sharp here. That's got a composition all of his own, and I think that works. But I gave that 17.
17. Fishy nut.
This does look a lot better on a computer because you've got this. It looks like a heat. What is happening there, Mike? You know,
It's the heat from the
It's the-
heater.
it's the heat. Yeah.
Coming down and
Right. Yeah.
twiddling
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
We can turn it off and we can all freeze a bit more.
No. I'm doing enough damage as it is. So no. I would leave this as it is, and I would suggest, and I would suggest to the photographer, if you're not a printer, get somebody to print it, because I like the simplicity of it, like the color. The colorway works extremely well. And the fact that we just got this structure and we got the fishing rods going in there, that's all you need. Maybe I would just put a slight vignette just on here, just slight, so stop this highlight really going out of the picture. Apart from that, print it. And it's the year of the print, this, you know. Okay, hold that one.
Hold that one.
Yeah.
Eagle owl in flight.
Yeah. Okay. How real is this, guys? I'm going to be hung and drawn quarter here.
You are, definitely. It is real.
Is it real?
It is.
Okay.
I know
Glad
the
I said
open,
that.
it's definitely not.
Sorry,
It's definitely not been buggered about with.
hasn't it? Okay.
Nope.
The reason I was going to say that is because the viewpoint looks different between here and there. That's the only reason. And I tell you, you just need, when you look closely, there is just a slight white line just going around there. But again, that can be generated by a camera, as we know, sort of as we see in some landscapes, because of the contrast and all the rest of it. Right. I found this quite scary in actual fact, and I did think maybe the question was, maybe is it a composite, but I'll take your word for it, because I thought that the viewpoint here was different from that, but blimey, that really is getting in close. That's scary coming for you for that. In that case, then that's got 17 marks.
17. Pair of weevils mating.
God, they like sex here in Oldham.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah. That is
Keeps us warm in the winter.
certainly keep these two warm. Do you know, that's beautiful. Look at the wonderful colors. Look at the sharpness. It's the photographer here has got a brilliant skill. The background's fine. You can't say anything really negative, or you don't want to say anything negative about it. It's all positive. and it actually works. I must admit, and I do see a lot of photographs, haven't seen this one before at all, and I'm sure we'll see it doing the round. So hold that one.
Hold that one. The Tobacco Traders Apologue, a legacy of blood.
Yeah. Now there's a political statement, isn't there? If you like. Do you know, a very interesting image, a very interesting lighting, loads of different objects in the picture. Can't we get a kitchen sink in it? Can't we get some more in, if you see what I mean? I think it's overloaded. And in fact, I think there's two pictures there. There's a picture there, lovely lighting, and there's a beautiful picture there. So you could have had two pictures. But it's been very well exposed. As I say about the lighting, said about the processing was fine. Maybe wanted to see just a little bit more light. I don't know. I'm carping here. Does it hang together? Does it tell a story? It tells two stories, I think. I can see where you come from. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do tonight. I think is this the last image of the lot?
It is, yes.
I'm going to be kind. I'm going to give it 8 for that one, and I'm going to give it 8 for that one.
Do you mean I've got to do some adding up now?
You have, Michael.
Will that be a
It
16?
would be 16.
16.
Now we've got a
Right.
few.
You have 14.
That's all right. We can go through these.
Right, we'll stick them on the white box
Yeah.
and see what we get. There we go.
What time's the last bus go? Is that it? No. That's
what have we got?
Yeah, that's probably
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
right.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. Now you've got them on the light box. Can you just run through them?
Yeah.
Big, starting with that one.
We can do. Right, do you want to just go through them blind?
Yeah, no, just
Yep.
go through them. Yeah, just go through them. Yeah. Go on. Go on, keep going. Yeah. 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 Okay.
There you go.
Right. Yes. I tell you what, there's some there really are some beautiful images there, and you whoever's images they are, you should be proud of yourself that they are there, because because it's a very, very strong competition. Let's start. I'm going to give the marks, and I'm going to give some down maybe to 18 again. I'm going to give the first one up there. I'm going to give that one 19.
19.
If you were looking at the book, Michael, I'd give it more. I'm going to give that one. It's well processed. There's nothing wrong with that. Just need to be looking down 19.
19.
Can we miss that one?
We can go over and do
Yeah.
any order that you want.
Okay. We're going to give the splits here. Well seen, well caught, 18.
18.
I know I mentioned about the eyes, but again, it's a beautiful image. Well processed.
You know?
Did you just give it 10?
I shall make sure. I can't see it for me. It all looks the same. 18.
18.
There we go.
You're going to give that 19. We're going to miss this one. The two flies. You see, I'm comparing these two there. I like that one better, so I'm going to give this one 19.
18.
Seeing the young lady against the rest of that, I don't think it's quite as strong as some of those. But I do like the effect that the photographer has given us. That little bit of softness, I think that works. And the fact that we got that, could give that 18.
18.
This one made me smile, but again, we're up again sort of a very strong image. That got 18.
18.
This, as I said, that went up and down because I was a bit worried about the highlights here and also that reflection. But seeing it on your screen, I'm going to give that 19.
19.
This is certainly compositionally sort of very sound, and we're going to hang on to that.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just see this one bigger?
Yes. Which one?
This mouse.
The mouse.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
There we go.
I want you to all smile because whoever took that put in is beautifully sharp. And the expression and the fact that you've played around with this and you put the flower on top of there. You could have just burnt that and just carpet. Maybe the background's a bit OTT. But just let a judge indulge himself. Because photography is supposed to be fun, and I think tonight that you've actually showed us an image that could be fun. You know, it mightn't be up with some of the others that we see, some of the wonderful images that, but that made me smile. So I'm going to give that 18 marks.
18.
But don't expect 18 from any other judge, probably. But go on, keep going.
Yep.
Where are we? We can give that one 19.
19.
Right. Yeah. So we've left with 4.
Right. Let's just go back into there and then back into there, and then we can.
Yeah, we're left with 4.
Yep.
And we're marking out a 20. So I'm going to be marking out a 20, but then I'm going to say, because they're all, I know we've got 3 sports images and 1 nature image. In their own right, they will win many a competition if they were there sort of without the other 3, all of them. But tonight they've all got 20.
Mm-hmm.
See, I've got 2 favorite images. Love that one and love that. Yeah. I know I've seen that one before, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't give it. That is still a classic image. So that's the winner. But I tell you, any of those could have won tonight.
Right.
So
Let's
brilliant.
go through and have a look at them while we're
Yeah.
given the 20.
20.
So that's
And
20.
Yeah.
And let's see who these 20s are, shall we?
Yes.
That one is by Eddie from Oldham.
Well done.
And we'll come back to that one. That one. Yes. 20.
Yeah.
And that's also by Eddie from Oldham. The Weevils.
Yeah.
Yes. 20. And that's by Malcolm from Oldham.
Well done.
Which leaves Nicholas off Erdels gets 20. And that just happens to be by Brianna from
Well done.
Oldham.
Excellent shot. Get that blown up that size. That's what you need.
Right. Do we want to see the scores on the doors? You sure? Let's see what comes up. Hit the button. Oh, there we go. Well, we've got a few 20s there.
Yeah, quite right.
Let's go down here. And so 409 for the Isle of Man. And 50 for Oldham. We might just have won that one slightly.
Mm.
Whoa, thank you very much, Gordon. Sorry. And thank you everyone, both from Oldham and from the Isle of Man for putting images in tonight. It was excellent selection of images. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there's a little bit of heat coming out of the projector. That was what I was trying to do. So on behalf of us all, I'd just like to thank Gordon, first of all, for accepting our invitation and for giving up your time to be with us this evening. You've inspired us with your knowledgeable, entertaining and excellent comments. Your hints and tips are going to help us refine our images, so thank you again for that. It really was an excellent competition, so thank you again from both societies. So I'd like to just ask everyone here in the room tonight, can we just put our hands together and thank Gordon in the usual manner? Oh, sorry. Do you know what? By the time it gets to the AGM, I'll have learnt. Do you think? Yeah. Yeah. Right. So a few little reminders for next week. Next week we have yeah. It's going to be 12 degrees and balmy next week, so we'll be fine. Fine. So yes. Yes. Oh, one other thing, Gordon. Your reputation for your wardrobe precedes you, and I was quite disappointed that you didn't wear one of your snazzy jackets this evening. So, so
I do apologize.
well, it's not the weather for them, so perhaps you could come back when it's sunnier weather, and that would be lovely. Thank you. Thank you. Right, go on to next week. So we have an appraisal next week. The portal is open.